Hey Theo, man. You remember back when we were in college, we used to head out to the mall, hang out at the food court, maybe hit the theater up, and after that, go to a little club or something. And I don't know, you remember all that real tangible stuff we used to do?
Oh yeah, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Oh,
You got to go to Amazon to get your mall fixed. You got to go to Netflix to get your theater fixed. You got to go to Tinder to get your bar fixed. And
wait, hold up. There's no parking lot pimping anymore.
dog, your parking lot's in your pocket, son. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it?
I guess, man. This is what we do. We're gonna
That,
talk about it, man.
that's right.
Parking lot pimping. So yeah, man. I love what we're starting here, man. Yeah, this is kind of like we used to have a segment here, right? We go talking about old school stuff, right? And yeah, back in the day, kind of things. And this is kind of along those lines. This episode. So what you got, man? How we want to break this one down this week?
I don't know. I put a post out on my Instagram, and I got an idea from your boys in the All In podcast, and they were talking, and he just mentioned like, yeah, Netflix is the new theater now, and Amazon's the mall, and everything. It's just like this is where we're going. And from those two little bits, I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, how far could this go? And I started listing out like all the apps and all the stores, like to continue, Zoom, that's like the office meetings. And we used to do channel surfing, just bounce through channels. And that's kind of like what we do on TikTok, going to restaurants and everything. We just hit up Grubhub. Spotify is like your tower records. YouTube is basically your television now. And you know what OnlyFans is? I mean,
I don't know, man. Certain places in Atlanta, that's almost blasphemous. Can't say it.
man, you know they'll be in there whispering in your ear, talking about visit my OnlyFans.
Man, literally, I saw someone talking about this on Instagram and say, "Hey, this is what all the strippers should be doing: be on OnlyFans. You don't have to deal with men. You don't have to deal with all this other issues, and you make way more money." And it was just like, I think it was a clickbait, and it worked.
Uh-huh.
But he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong.
No, it's terribly fascinating, and not just for OnlyFans, but like for any of these institutions. I think if you can find your ease of access and getting that same type of, or not same type, but a similar type of interactivity they used to get in the real world, and you can find a way to make it work digitally or through an app, then some people are going to be like, wait a minute, well, why do I have to, get dressed, put on my shoes, get in the car, get, drive somewhere, waste gas, et cetera, when I can just do this digitally?
Well, they just did something recently, an experiment on Netflix. I don't know if you saw this, but Chris Rock had his comedy special. It was live, selective
That's right.
outreach. And that's like, back in the day, you and I used to, in LA, used to go to the comedy store or the comedy, on Tuesday nights, amateur hours and things like that.
Yeah.
And you dress up and laugh and giggle, but it was live, right? This was the first time they kind of did a live kind of comedy set. A lot of the concerts you see are pre-recorded, or they
Yeah.
they kind of set things up. Matter of fact, this is true story. I don't know if you saw some of the news around it. Chris Rock literally messed up the joke at the end. What the jokes, and because he messed it up, he asked Netflix if he could re-edit it. So
Yeah.
you watched
Yeah.
it live, you saw the mess up, but now that it lives on Netflix in recorded form, they've changed the joke, and so it doesn't work now. So it's kind of interesting how that happened. But yes, the comedy stores have even been replaced by this digital first type of mentality.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like an extreme jump, right? I mean, it's what we've kind of been building towards since the internet came out. But I think since, I guess, obviously since the pandemic, I'm talking about, I guess, yes, obviously since the pandemic, that just kicked into overdrive, right?
Good point. I mean, I think that's what it was. So I'm just talking, so look, we were kind of there. I mean, we were college, right? When the
Yeah.
birthplace of the internet kind of exploded. I literally remember being in your room and we were like, what's this thing called internet? No, I was it Netscape. We were like, what's
That's,
this thing called
yeah.
Netscape?
And
Oh, this guy,
Mosaic. Yeah.
Mosaic, this guy's making all this money. We were just like, what is going on? And because we had I had email for the first time in college, and so to me, I remember South Park episodes. Geez, they've been around a long time. they would pop around. So it was like, to me, the internet was always kind of like this way to get information faster, right?
Yeah.
And so that was always the case, but now it's exploded to more of an entertainment, and now with apps accessing to the real world, like you said, Grubhub, and access to real life experiences, through the app. Airbnb, right? That's like the hotel, right? Kind of like
Right,
a
right.
digital hotel. So yeah, the pandemic just accelerated that, right? I think 2020 hit, and then everybody was like stuck in the house, and it was like, this is crazy. And now you saw the rise of, celebrities, more so influencers, right?
Mhm.
Just blew up during that period of time. And then also all these other digital first type of mentality and technologies and stuff like that. And so I agree. I think, this was an interesting time to kind of see a lot of this kind of take hold of us. Did it go all the way though? That's my question as a business person. I question, people we're a little over optimistic. I mean, I don't know. Let's take it back to 2020, Mr. Benja. When we were in it, when you experienced it, I literally remember, dang, it was like around this time, March, right? March 3 years ago, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
And we, they say, oh, things are shutting down, right? I mean, and then, what did you think? Did you think, oh man, are we ever going to be meeting in person again? I mean, what were your thoughts?
So March 5th, 2020, I actually remember the date because I had to make posters for an art show I was putting on. And at that date, we were we set the date and we heard about, the pandemic and oh some reports in New York, some reports from the Midwest somewhere, and we're like, whatever. And then we got reports from San Francisco leading up to that week. And I was like, huh, all right, interesting. And people were just now starting to talk about, hey, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you, but it wasn't like a thing that stopped anybody from doing anything. And by the time the night of the art show came around, everybody, the news was out like, yo, there have been 3 reported cases in Long Beach. And that's right across the bridge from me, just,
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, it's crazy. And everybody, there's this weird kind of like you didn't know how to act. You were like, all right, this is a person I've known for a while, but they have a big family and they meet up with a lot of people all the time. Should I hug? Should I
Yeah.
shake?
Yeah.
Should I fist bump? And then we were kind of like letting people know, hey, if you just want to, do an airwave, or we're telling people, if you don't feel comfortable getting all close to people, here's what you do, let them know. And it was weird because this one friend of mine, I talked to her and I was like, so how do we do this? And I was joking about it, right? Because everybody was talking about the pandemic. So I said, how do we do this? Shake, hug, whatever. And she like got mad at me, like, ugh, this isn't anything. I don't know why everybody's so afraid and da 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 da. And we hugged and everything. In the back of my head, I was like, I might die tomorrow. I didn't know. I was just like, oh my god, she's been around hugging everybody, and this
Yeah. Yeah.
pandemic is going around now. But yeah, that's how it hit me. And after that, I do remember after that night was over, it was literally the next day, 3 days or week after. It was like, all right, we're shutting down. Nobody can visit the art gallery. People stop going to work sometimes. Like, man, just that fast it happened. And I started thinking, can I sell art online? What should I be doing
Mhm,
now? And
mhm,
my whole thought process started to change. So
mhm. So you hit the nail on the head. I think everybody's mind shifted at that point, right? It was like, how do you still make money in an environment where you can't physically meet with folks? Likewise, my business, I was supposed to go to a big healthcare conference.
mhm,
Literally, that got canceled. That was like the canary in the coal mine because obviously, we just were being very overly cautious. But when it hit bad. And so I started doing more content online, right? Just talking, to people and doing videos. And so that was a precursor to doing this podcast and some of the other stuff I'm doing on social media. But you had to do something, right?
yeah,
And then you saw the rise of other. And I started seeing myself watching a lot more YouTube channels, right, and other folks,
mhm,
and that's how a lot of folks probably grew their audiences, right, during that
yeah.
period of time.
You probably even subscribed to something like YouTube, right? Right?
I did. Well, I didn't do it then. I just
Right.
recently did it. I just recently did it. But yes, and at the
Took you
time,
2 years.
it took me 2 years, but the ads were, okay. But yeah, so I think that's when you start the rise of people like, and then this thing called Clubhouse, took off audio only kind of messaging, kind of
Yeah.
center, like, and they had like big celebrities join it. So I think we're trying to reminisce going back to that point. It was just like how we just thought everything was going. We're already there, but just kind of accelerate. I mean, we're ordering food now. I mean, even if you never use Grubhub or Instacart or all those other, I mean, DoorDash, they just exploded, because that's how restaurants even
Yeah.
survived even then during that period of time. They had to use that to get food out. And so I think, this push to digital only, and then you kind of nailed it on the head with all these different comparisons. That's pretty much what happened. Amazon became our mall, Tinder became our bar. I mean, I don't know, to the single folks, I don't know how y'all did it, but to the married folks, I don't know how we did it. It was just like you were with that one person the whole time. And if you're single, you were pretty much like scared to kind of go out almost. So I
Yeah.
guess there's a lot of Tinder stuff going on just remotely. Like you said, Twitter was a town hall, so you would listen to, different folks, about what the topic of the day was happening with COVID. Let's see, groups, they had those meetups and people were kind of communicating
Yeah.
and forming, teams. So everything you highlighting here, was already there. And LinkedIn, I think people were kind of networking and figuring out, who they could still work with. And it surprised everyone, but we not only survived, but we thrived because I think there was so much money and people had cash in their hands. So they didn't have to work and the unemployment money was coming in. You know, we thought it was going to be terrible time. It actually become one of the best times in retrospect. You didn't really have to go anywhere. You had all
Yeah.
this money. You were playing on the stock market. And so, now we wish it went back to that, right?
Well, yeah. I
A
mean,
little bit.
unless you were a brick and mortar, you
Yeah,
can't.
it sucked. Or older person, so a lot of people, over 1 million people did lose their lives. So it definitely was a interesting time. But I think, what we're trying to figure out is like, so yeah, is this for real? So did this last? And I don't know if it has. I mean, I think some things are ingrained,
Mhm.
with Amazon and stuff, but I don't think to the level that everyone thought it was, right? With these big startup companies, like Amazon, Meta. I think they went all in. I mean, they put all their chips into hey, this is it. This is the world we've been waiting for. We're
Oh,
ready now. Let's do this. And so they went.
Meta's so stupid. Get on my nerves.
But I mean, did it seem like the guys they were hiring like crazy, like 2021 and just going bananas, man, because they just like, this is the world now. This is how we're gonna live our life. And I don't think that was the case. On the other side of that, I don't think that's at all the case.
No, I mean nobody's out there buying VR headsets talking about I'm going to live in the metaverse in the virtual world. I mean, no, we're not there yet. So I think we pulled a classic. You know, everybody's running in one direction, and then they get there and it's like, oh, okay, well, not every. It's like the gold rush kind of thing where everybody runs out to California and they're like, oh man, there's too many people out here looking for gold. Hey, I'm gonna plant oranges. Look at that field over there. And hey, I'm gonna do this. And because everybody's out there, they just start going back to what they did. They're just in
Mhm.
a new place, right?
Good point. Good point. Well, isn't it like, I don't know, man, we're kind of another situation with, AI, chat GPT, right? It's
Yeah.
just like, it's just these booms, just there's this one, oh, everybody's all, frenzy. Oh, it's going to be remote only, right? We got this app for this. We got this app for that. Oh, didn't work. Oh, Meta going to take off. Let's all invest in Meta. Oh, didn't work. Crypto. Oh, we're going to do NFTs and crypto. Let's all do it. Oh, it's like, it just seems
Yeah.
like there's these ways and ways and just like, and I think maybe people are sick of it. It's just like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is this is not working. Everybody's thinking these are going to be the next big things, and we'll probably talk about another pod, but there was a big incident probably will hamper a lot of innovation in the startup world with with capital. And I
Oh, right.
think, yeah, it was Silicon Valley Bank, and I think that might be a good thing because I don't know if this capital has done well, because of all these kind of, this is the next big thing, and then it's really not. Psych,
Right. Well, it makes me wonder because I mean there are definite shifts. Maybe is a stock market chart where there's always ups and downs, but
Mhm,
if you're looking at the trend, the whole trend is going to a certain digital direction. I mean, once because now, you were saying shopping online, aside from Amazon, like I just started what 1 week I decided to start just buying all kinds of stuff online. Like, hey, what if I did my grocery shopping online? I never do that, but let me see what happens. And I was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Just all the stuff showed up. A friend of mine was talking to me, and it's an older friend, and he was like, I've never really actually bought anything from Amazon." And I was like, "What?"
I'm like that meme, that guy that he was like,
Yeah,
what? How's
exactly.
that even possible?
No, yeah, had an Amazon account for because he bought stuff from Audible, and and was using it for Kindle. But I was like, "Wait a minute, you never actually ordered like stuff?" Like, no, no, just I like to go to the store. As an older person, they actually liked getting up and going out whenever they got the chance. So he would jump on the bus, go to the mall or Target or whatever. But yeah, totally hadn't bought anything like physical online because he wanted to touch everything first.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I
that's
know I'm still kind of a little bit like that. Sometimes even with clothes. I mean, some people buy clothes like that, but
I
it's
do.
just good to, yeah. I like to try it on, just to see, what's going on. But to your point, sometimes easier just, oh, I just like that. Let me just buy it. If I don't like it, I'll just return it. So I get that part of it too. But yeah, sometimes I just like touching things or, convenience of it. It's like, oh, I just need something like today. Yes, Amazon can sometimes give you same day deliveries, but I don't know, something about like I can just go get it, something I just need like right now.
Yeah.
It's still something relevant to me. So unless they can create what they call what transponders or teleporters or whatever to get whatever you need by just saying computer, I need a wrench. It just
Yeah.
materializes in your hand. Yeah, we still
Um,
got a long ways before.
well, I mean, we talked a little bit about the ghost kitchens
Mm.
and, online only restaurants where you only can order it online, and you have little franchised cooking areas or kitchens that are just off in some office complex or something. And yeah, they send you your food. So I don't know, it's definitely a different world because I was, not just talking to the older people, but going around, there's like a skate park around the way over here. And it's just like the phone being digital, it's not an option. It's just how kids growing up now interact. That's what they do. That's all they I mean, that's their first point of contact. You know what I mean?
You're right, man. Definitely. I mean, two things to that. Mr. Beast, right? He's an
Yeah.
influencer and he created this Mr. Beast burger and just it's all digital, right? It's basically doesn't really, I mean, I think he may have some locations, I think, but it's mostly all online. They just order it and, you can order at your local Chili's, right? Or something. Because I was there sitting there one time and I saw all these Mr. Beast burgers popping up. They said, yeah, we're a Mr. Beast burger place. I'm like, what's different about the burger? Nothing, probably nothing. There
No.
is no product differentiation beyond the brand. And so we'll have a pod on that, just brand specifically on how that differentiates you. But to your point, I didn't know, people were online as much, because I'm not really online like that. But, as someone who's starting to, put his brand out there and doing more of these videos and doing Instagram, you're right, man. People on there all the time. And that's where people are making money. It's like people are always, that's just what they do, whereas, after a long day, I may put on like a, TV show or something on Netflix. People, that's what they do. They just do the doom scrolling, right? And yeah, that's where people are, and that's how these teenagers, and younger, not just younger folks, just a lot of folks, spend their life and time. But you know what? Some studies I was listening to these podcasts recently, they talked about that. These teenagers are not happy, and a big part of that is social media, the comparison, especially young girls.
Well, it's
So
to clarify, I actually know what you're talking about. It's not like they're angry, not happy. They're a little sad.
yes,
I don't want to say depressed. They're missing a certain connection, and I'm pretty sure most kids wouldn't know how to define what it is.
yeah, well, the instances of car accidents is down, drunk driving is down, but suicide is up. And so
Mm.
that's kind of to your point, what's happening with this younger generation. And then they did another study on what makes people happy for a lifetime of the length of their life. And it's basically something called social fitness. Basically, people who have strong ties with people that they work out with or do physical things together with, they tend
Mhm.
to live happier, longer lives. And so social media gives you that faux, exchange of, hey, I got a buddy,
Yeah,
but Ari, do you?
yeah,
So
man. And gosh, even to that point, like you and I will connect on like the new Mario Kart trailer came out, And we talked about how we played Mario Kart back in the day, and we will like text each other and we're like, ha ha, ha, Mario Kart. But that's between us, right? The kids growing up now, they're being, and we talked about the graphs of how people are connecting. They're being fed an interest graph as opposed to a relationship graph.
There you
So
go.
we have a relationship graph where it's like, me, you, we both went to FAMU, Florida A&M. We connect with other people who went to FAMU, and oh, you know that person? Yes, my cousin, da da da. And it's a relationship kind of connection. But marketers, advertisers, and businesses have found that it's more profitable or more beneficial in the long run, which means profitable to business, but it's more beneficial to them to push an interest graph where it's like you're on TikTok, you're not so concerned about knowing the person you're commenting on or, interacting, creating a long-term friendship with, you know, Xbox gamer dad, 457. It's just it's just like, yeah, I jump on his page every once in a while and watch him play new games. And then because I'm interested in the games he plays. But it's not like a relationship, it's an interest, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Interest is more broader, right? And so you can probably put them in cohorts and you can market them better if you know all their interests. And because we talked about this Netflix's algorithm, right? It's based on interest. And they say, oh, since you like dark dramas with black female leads, who have a dog, right? Here are some other things that you like. And it's based on your interests to give you recommendations to kind of keep you in that, into the ecosystem. Whereas relationship, to your point, is about, knowing someone and be connected. So you're probably happier. But then, how do you scale that, right? And so when you think about marketing, it's really about like how do you get the biggest bang for your buck, right? And I can't scale relationships as well. Now they could be profitable long term from a
Yeah.
longitudinal, like a longer period of time, they could be more profitable. But if you want the biggest bang for your buck initially, like a big bang thing,
Mhm.
then you need to kind of hit a broader market and interest will probably hit it. So no, I like that. I'll write that down, Mr. Benja. Yeah, I might use
Use it, man. Use it.
it. Interest graphs versus relationship graphs. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. On the relationship side, and I guess it blends a little with the interest. We were talking about Disney offline, and one of the reasons I stayed on Disney Plus for as long as I did was because me, Andy, Al, and a couple others, we used to do watch parties
Mhm.
for the Mandalorian show. Like the first season came out,
Yeah.
we would actually sit down and do watch parties. But that's not like a technology they push. That they don't push for the relationship connections.
Good point. Yeah.
They push for
Netflix doesn't either. They had the same thing. They had the same capability. They don't really
yeah,
push that.
that
You're
stuff
right.
is that stuff is great, man. I love that. Like
Yeah.
laughing with your friends while you're watching it, and
And see, it's better for you, the relationships, right? Because
oh, it's
you're
healthier. You
happier.
mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
healthier.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, healthier for you to build those tighter bonds from a relationship standpoint. But yeah, they just can't monetize it as well,
Mm,
and that's the sad part. Oh my
sad.
goodness, wow, we just figured this out, man. Yeah, the interest graphs. I mean, and also they're more broader, and so you could just compete. You can because if someone has interest on this, there's the anti-interest, right? And so now you can have engagement because you create enragement, right? So you have people who are fighting against each other because
Enragement.
engagement through enragement. That's anher good one. I'm gonna write that down.
Write that down.
But
So put a little TM beside it so they know.
but think about it. They use the interest against you, like Democrat, Republican, right?
Mhm.
Or whatever religious belief you have, and things like that. I mean, that's an element of it, right? Cultural background, black, white. So they have these kind of ways to kind of keep you engaged because of your interest and, they know what to keep you engaged in. So yeah, so to your point, digital kind of sucks because it does leverage
Oh,
a lot of these algorithms to kind of keep you, hooked in. But to replace those analog experiences that we come to build relationships with, right? You talked about you and I would go, to a place, right? We would do something together. We would hang out at the mall. We would then go to the parking lot, and do some parking lot pimping. It was all, in physical kind of interaction. You can do all that, but I may not do it just with you. I might just, do this first part with you, then I go meet someone else, or I'm just hanging here by myself. I'm just kind of all over the place. Sometimes I'm doing it at the same time, right? Because I'm flip flopping between apps.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like it's not linear, or it's not like a story. It's more kind of like it's all jumbled together in my mind when I'm using my phone because it's all there. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, man. I think so. Let's net this out. Is it a good thing to be digital only, or what are your thoughts?
You know what? I There are very few apps and platform developers that are really thinking about the humans first. And Snapchat was one of the better companies at doing that.
Mhm.
As weird as it seems, but they would. I don't know if you've ever seen a group of people connected on Snapchat that only send snaps to each other.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting and weird. Like, you're let's say you go to Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Mhm.
And you get everybody together. Let's assume we're all on Snapchat. I just make a little boop, 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 put everybody in this Thanksgiving Snapchat group, right? And we started doing snaps. And suddenly, when you open up Snapchat, you can see like basically a miniature version of like TikTok or something that's, the Thanksgiving family shenanigans,
Oh, nice.
and it's like, and then you're going through the snaps and you're like, wait a minute, hey, did you see this? Hey, Charlie boy, look at Uncle Charlie, he crazy. Ah. And it's all just between you guys. And the app is developed to encourage that type of interaction between people, which is really
Mhm.
interesting. And you don't notice these differences. You're just like, well, this app does this and this app does that. But nevertheless, if you're on Twitter, you'll find yourself arguing with random people. And on Facebook, you find yourself sharing pictures of your family because of the way the apps are set up.
No, I
It
think
does.
that's a good point. I mean, and that so to your point, some of these apps are really kind of focused in on the relationship piece of it. Like, Snapchat, there's some new ones coming out that's trying to figure out how do you build a little tighter bonds with those relationships. And then more importantly, how you monetize it. And I think, they may have to start charging because the advertising model only works best for those interest graphs, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
but I think there's some new model because you right. I mean, YouTube now is more like TV, Twitter, it's coming as broadcast, all these other, social media, are more kind of broadcast mediums now. They're not really about building that relationship, but there are some apps that they're building that are really promoting that more relationship angle.
and I want more of that because, you know, those bonds are pretty unbreakable. Like when we've actually had these experiences together, even if it's like the family Snapchat or, the people I used to play Diablo with, down in the basement of the computer lab and stuff like that. But that was like we did that in the lab together as people. So yeah, I don't know what this means, but I looked up the numbers we were talking about earlier because I didn't just want to say kids are doing bad or anything like that. But from the Chicago Sun-Times, got this article called "Teen Mental Health is in a Sad State." The COVID pandemic was rough on everybody. Fear and sorrow were ubiquitous, and not just among high school girls. And yeah, it just goes on to say how people, teachers, administrators, people who talk to people a lot, politicians, they're like, yeah, there's something really off with how this pandemic and the shut in, closed off nature of digital access is affecting everybody. And now you're going to start charging people for that. It's really kind of
Yeah,
today.
I think it's one of those things where they really have to think through how they want to kind of position these type of technology tools, especially for this younger generation. But they said rap was going to erode us, right? When we were growing up, right? What was that? What's the intro to Thuggish Ruggish Bone? These rappers, we not a rapper. How'd it go? Remember the intro to
Yeah.
it? Trying to think, but yeah,
These thugs.
yeah, these thugs, these rappers. So yeah, so maybe it's also a little bit of older folks kind of being like, "Hey, kids, get off my lawn." But it does seem like there's some the studies are showing that this social media stuff is directly affecting people's mental health because of the algorithms and what they're pushing down our throats. So I don't know if digital only is the right path we want to go down. But with that being said, you mind if I kind of segue into like a company, some of the companies, and how they're kind of flip flopping what where they want to go,
Um,
digital or analog?
Yeah, and I'm going to wrap it back around to how we started too. So this will be good. Go ahead.
All right, so let's talk about Warner Brothers Discovery. So, this is one of our big themes. We talk about streaming, entertainment, and business. Warner Brothers Discovery, has been going through some changes since they got the new CEO last year. And look, they got no money, man. They got tons of debt, $50 billion of debt. Streaming ain't working for them no more. And so they're all about, how they make money in the real world. And so they're looking at this streaming pile of crap and how they can turn it to gold. And one of the just interesting things they're doing is like licensing some of their, core to the brand of DC and Warner Brothers superheroes like Batman, licensing that to other companies like Amazon. So for the first time ever, you're actually going to see a new Batman animated show, and on Amazon, right? And it would then premiere, from a DC branded kind of content or video or something like that. And so that's kind of interesting. So, we'll probably
Sad
see more of
words.
that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see animated features from DC show up on Disney Plus, but I can see that happening. Why not?
Yeah.
So more to come on that, and then also, they're committed to linear cable bundles still, which is a dying business because everybody's cutting cable and trying to go to streaming. But it makes so much money because think about cable, you get paid twice. You get paid for that cable fee that people pay every month for, plus they get paid advertising. So that's why it's such a great business. You get two revenue streams for entertainment, which is unheard of. So whereas in streaming, you only get the pay money, or if you go TV's advertising, right? Cable had both. And so
Mhm.
that's why they always were looking to kind of keep cable going. And then also removing streaming content. I mean, this is something that you noticed firsthand, Mr. Benja, with your favorite show, Westworld, and how they just took it middle of the night, like a thief in the night, man. You watch episode 2 and gone, just like that. And they put it on these channels they call fast networks, like free linear ad supported TV, things like Tubi, where basically you can watch an original show, but still and not pay anything for it, but have to
Yeah.
watch commercials. Have to, not advertising tier, premium tier. Just there's nothing else but watching commercials. So anyway,
Yes.
so that's more to come on though. That's kind of how they're thinking through. When
And
they
that's definitely one of those fields or apps that I churn through because if everything's becoming a subscription and we're going to be all digital, I don't want all these, you know, tethers strapped into me or plugged into, my financial veins, sucking money from me. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're all going to start charging if you want the better access. It's a slow thing, man, but I expect everybody's going to start doing that. The video game consoles do that in a certain extent
oh wow,
with their season passes. It's
didn't
like
know that.
you want to play Fortnite and all these other games with everybody. They're like, yeah, we'll keep the servers up for a year. We'll keep everything running, give you all the support, get to join tournaments, win prizes. But you got to buy that little card that you see by the by the checkout desk at GameStop or Target or wherever you go.
Mm.
It says like, hey, you know, season pass, get in on it. Everybody's going to be playing this year. So
Interesting. Didn't know that. So yeah, so like I said, it's a weird world. So let's talk about Disney too. Um, there was a time when Disney was digital first. So Bob Iger, before he left Disney, one of his big strategic moves was creating streaming service, right? So it announced Disney Plus, and everybody loved it. Everybody was ready to go. And then when it debuted it was huge success. Basically 10 million signups on day one. I was one of those. I was in that number, Mr. Benja. I said,
what?
oh, I had to get it. I said, let me get this. Let me lock down this year contract because they promised us the moon, right? You see all the Disney stuff, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the first day I got it, I was like, wow, they got DuckTales on here. Right? So I was instantly transported to
yeah.
early
I
'90s,
remember
right?
that now.
Afternoons watching DuckTales. So yeah, it was awesome, man. And matter of fact, it was so great that Twitter, everyone saw that its peak subscriber mania took off and it dictated roughly about 90% of Disney stock growth because, it was all about streaming at that time. And
Yeah,
because Netflix was, high flying stock option. And this was reinforced even more so during COVID because activist investors were encouraging Disney to lose even money faster, right? Put more money to streaming.
yeah,
Because, the theory at the time was that if you put more money to streaming, the stock market would get higher. And guess what? You can leverage that to do whatever you want. Look at Netflix, right? They
Yeah.
had billions of dollars of losses for years until they finally were able to turn the faucet on, kind of like Amazon. So that's the problem with these startups, right? The premise is you lose so much money for so long, so you get enough market, penetration, and then whenever you want to, you just turn the faucet on, and you're making so much money, it'll make your head spin.
Yeah.
Very few companies do that, can achieve that. Amazon is able to do that. Netflix did it in their market. But typically what I see, it mostly only happens if you're kind of almost like, a big first mover. I mean, you can be a first mover and still lose, but you have to have a lot of capital and people leaving you more so than your competitors, that you're
Mhm.
going to be the winner take all in that market. And so Netflix was able to do that in their entertainment business. And, so now they're the only streaming company that's profitable because
Yeah.
of all those losses for so many years.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny, and it was the buzz from it too, right? Everybody was just talking about like, "Yo, the Disney Vault, you're gonna be able to watch all this and watch all that." Yeah, but they don't have a killer new show that I want to see. They don't have a killer new show. Actually, dog, they got The Mandalorian premiering November 12th, 2019, and everybody lost their minds.
Sure did. Sure did. That first episode, you're right, man. It was like one of those. I don't think they knew how. I mean, that's one of the first things that kind of shocked Disney, because I don't think they knew how big it was going to be. Because
Yeah,
literally, I can remember after Baby Yoda or Grogu popped up on episode one, everybody lost their damn mind, man. And I went to Disney. I had passes. It was a dad corner, right?
you went to the
But
physical Disney.
yeah, the physical Disney World, and went around to the stores. There was no, I mean, some Mandalorian merch, but there's no mention about Baby Yoda. And it was around Christmas time too. You like, man,
What?
Disney, man, y'all messed up. What happened here? Somebody probably got fired. You said you didn't see this coming. We could have made $1 billion, extra $1 billion.
I,
Just
I
have
actually
something.
I actually wonder if it was one of those soft firings where you don't kind of know it's coming, and people are in a meeting room, and it's like, all right, so things have been going well. We're lining up our next projects. Rob is going to be the head. We're going to have Diane also coming in with the creative, and we're going to bring such and such over here from Imagineering. It's going to be great, guys. And then the old guy who's the head of the group is like, hey, Martin, I was the lead on the last project. You didn't have an assignment for me. Oh, talk to HR right after this meeting. We're going to be shuffling some things around a bit.
Oh,
Thank you. And then you just kind of like stuck sitting there like, hey, I have nothing to do. What's going on?
oh man,
And then they,
that happened to me once, man. It was, luckily I was on the good side, spoiler alert. But
uh,
man, they literally, said, "Hey, okay, everybody, we're gonna come to this room. You go to this other room." And I was like, okay, what's going on? And then you sat in
yeah.
the room, you're just sitting there quiet. What's going on? And then the other person came in, the lead, the head, the HR person. She said, "Okay, everyone, we've had some, but everyone in this room is safe." You're like, "Oh, geez."
Man.
So you just had move your finger to the left a little bit long. You didn't know which room was safe. You could have been in the wrong room. Didn't even know it. So yeah, man, I agree. Those are some interesting times. But yeah, so Disney, so they were all about digital. What happened, like all things. So Disney is a unique case because I think it's one of the few streaming companies, entertainment companies that can understand analog too, right? Because they're known for their parks and cruises and their experiences, right? So when Wall Street came calling in 2022 and said, "Hey, you know what? I don't think streaming works as a business," and Netflix started losing half its value in less than a month, everybody was like, "What the hell's going on? Streaming is not popular anymore." And that was exactly right. And so it's so funny that all everything. And Disney was prepared again. They had lost a lot of money in theaters. Remember, they were moving all their movies into streaming. But then now, this last quarter, they had two big successes: Wakanda Forever, and because they bought Fox,
Mhm.
Avatar, Way of Water. And
Yeah.
so now they're like, killing it at the theater, right? Which is all about what people want to do, go back to the movies. And they're talking about creating sequels to all the great hits
Yeah.
like Frozen, Zootopia, Toy Story, I guess.
Now, since we're talking about the theaters and, real quote versus digital, are the theaters back or You know, are we talking about just the blockbusters, or what are we looking at?
You know what? It's funny, man. We went to my family. I went to a movie last night. Went to go see Creed 3, and so it was pretty packed. And then it was like, matter of fact, Creed 3 premiered last, and obviously it's got Jonathan Majors in it, who's playing a big part in the MCU right now. It's Kang, and then Michael B. Jordan, up and coming guy, has been around for a while, and legacy IP with Rocky, but now it's called Creed. So it's but it was the biggest opening for a sports movie of all time. I think it was like
Yeah,
$60 million or something like that, and so that
nice.
was unheard of. So, and this is a third. There's a third movie in the trilogy, and then so now this week they have Scream 6 coming out. They got Jenny Ortega in that, who's getting a big push because of Wednesday. Then they got this dinosaur movie with Adam Driver, killing dinosaurs, called 65 million or 65.
Yeah,
And so it's like, wait a minute, are movies back?
they should have. If they called that Turok, they would have made a lot more
Oh,
money.
I knew it was coming, Tora.
Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. I don't. They dropped the ball on that one.
Well, did
Dumbasses.
you see Predators? I mean, no, Prey. Did you watch Prey on Hulu?
Prey was okay. I you know
Not that kind
I
of that
I went
Turok.
there.
That's a Turok vibe, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It works. It works. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. If anybody wants a script, I'll whip one up for you.
Matter of fact, you have one right here, right?
Yes, and if you like
Ready
that, I've got Shadow Man as well. So don't trip. Don't trip.
So anyway, so theaters are coming back and Disney's killing it in that experience. And then meanwhile, Disney is still kind of thinking that they want to even go down the path of theaters more, right? They do want to put more movies in the theaters. So I think they're kind of weighing the fence. And one of the articles I've been reading is like, maybe Disney should buy a theater, a theater chain, right? Because they have Fox, they have like content from Fox. Fox Searchlight is kind of like this prestigious Oscar bait. And then they have, of course, all the Disney and Marvel and Pixar stuff. Star Wars, God forbid. I sent you a post about this, Mr. Benja. Can you believe we don't even have a sniff of a Star Wars movie? I know you talk to those guys over at Pod Squadron, man, and some other pods, man. What is going on with Star Wars, man? Why don't we have a movie? They just announced like this week the Kevin Feige movie is kaput. The Patty Jenkins one, we knew Rogue Squadron, that's dead. They said maybe the Taco Waititi one is coming, but what is going on, man? This is unheard of. How do we not have a Star Wars film in over 5 years?
It's a shame, man. And maybe they're taking that commercial route. And I mean that in terms of like an advertisement route, where it's going to come off of the Mandalorian. I heard some rumblings about that, where it's like, you know what, this is our best starting point. Let's rewind a little bit and do everything from that direction. But that's a totally unfounded internet thing. I don't know who's been talking to who in whatever cafe on Sunset Boulevard. But
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad premise. Maybe really going back to, it's all about Mandalore now, right? Seeing that actually happen and what happened there. If they don't do a flashback on a TV show, I guess. I mean, I guess that's the challenge. Star Wars has always been about the Skywalkers, right? And so how do you, I mean, but Andor got the prestige treatment, right, recently.
Prestige, yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
people thought it was, dry as the Sahara.
Oh, what did you think of it? I think we talked about it.
We talked about it. I highly, highly respect it.
It's like the girl I was like, oh yeah, how's the day with her? Oh man, but she's so smart. I highly respect her. Are you gonna date her again? Hell no.
It was I had to act. I don't always want to think about Star Wars. I just want to get in there and be like, pew pew, pew, somebody screaming and falling. I'm like, all right, cool, that was great. All right, what's up next? I want to be able to
bumping their heads.
I want to be able to watch it drunk, right, and just be happy. Andor, it's kind of like I needed to stop, sip a fine wine, you know, put one leg over the other and just kind of lean forward, right?
In that thinker pose. Huh?
Yes, it was definitely lean in TV if you're talking about that. But you make a good point with the Disney parks, and you're talking about that still being there or more of their focus, pushing back a little more and like, hey, the parks are still a big focus. And how is that Star Wars resort doing, by the way?
Oh, you know what? I just saw an article about this. Not well. Right. I mean, it's $5,000, I think, roughly for a family of 4 for like 3 nights, I think, and that's expensive, especially during a, pseudo recession, right? I would like to go. My niece who works there, she visited. She says it's great. It's an interactive experience. You kind of create they
Yeah.
create character for you and all this other stuff. So yeah, but yeah, it looks like they're not booking as many, and so they're gonna slow it down. But I tell
Yeah.
you what is taking off. The parks are busier than they've ever been. I mean, I'm like, man, and they actually went up on their annual pass holders passes a little
Hmm.
bit. Um, Disney Genie went up too. So Genie was their big, even though people got a hard time about it, Iger kept it though because it's making money. It's
Yeah.
basically the way that the new fast pass system where you get, ahead of the line a little bit faster, but now you pay for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're making money hand over fist. Matter of fact, I put it in our show notes. So Disney Parks Experience and Products in 2020, when everything was dying, they made less than $1 billion, right? In all the
Okay.
parks and everything in consumer products. Matter of fact, they made 1.9 million in the parks, but they made more money in consumer product, which is 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
But 2021, starting to come back, and then, be honest with you, Florida
Well,
never shut
that's
down. 3.5 billion. And then last year, $5 billion. And this is all revenue that
what?
came in. Yes.
That's like a
It's
5x in 2 years, 3 years.
Well, it kind of makes sense, man. Pent up demand, man. You'd be surprised. I mean, Disney, is like Disney World, Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. It's like, I mean, we did when we were younger. I mean, Disneyland. I'm sure you went. You told me a
Hmm.
couple of times. It's like you do that. I mean, matter of fact, I know 2 of my business partners and 3 of my employees are going to Disney World for spring break.
Yeah. So the surprising part isn't that people are going to me. The surprising part was like how much is money is being funneled over there. So
Man.
uh,
Well, then, it's a function of volume, number one, and then
okay.
also price hikes, right? So you
Right.
got both. You're gonna accelerate a lot faster. The
So
volume
yeah,
is unheard of. I mean, it's ridiculous how many people are showing up for these things.
crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, they're
Um,
making money hand over fist.
nice. So oh yeah, I said I was going to wrap it back around to what we started with. So the reason I was on the Tallahassee Mall kick was because I used to go to putt putt golf and behind the mall and the AMC theaters when they put it in and everything. It was all great, right? Random internet search. I was like, what's going on with the Tallahassee Mall? One of the first links that came up was deadmalls.com.
Oh no.
And they keep track of malls that are dying, dead, or getting renovated. And I was looking at what's been happening to the malls. Well, over the past decade or past several years, malls have been doing this, if not dying, they've been transforming into these different type of centers where some of them have become like Amazon warehouse hubs, where half of it's like this little warehousing operation where they can send stuff out of to different stores. Some of them have become more like entertainment centers
Mhm.
where you
Yeah.
put in like a skate park, where
Yeah.
you put in a literal park. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like trees and stuff. You just chop up half the mall, and it's like
Just
most
experience mall. Just come here and have
experiences. Yeah,
experiences.
exactly. But the Tallahassee Mall is going to go to an outdoor format where they basically chop off the ceiling, save on AC cost. Um, you still have some restaurants and things. Part of it turns into an office park, and you've got it's just a new type of experience. And one of the craziest ones I've heard of, which is pretty cool, is turning part of your mall into an actual apartment complex.
Mhm.
So, and this is what I was thinking about, with the Disney kind of thing where it's a resort. Well, now you can have an apartment complex, or in Tallahassee Mall's case, a large part of it's going to be a hotel. So
Mm.
it's going to be a hotel with all these connected areas and stores as part of it. So I don't know. I've never thought about living in a large glorified strip mall with its own park, but that's what's happening now.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I've been down to DTLA, downtown LA, and that center, and you got all these different places, and so I think that's the new mall. You're right. I mean, they have something in here in Tampa called Amateur Works. They have something in Atlanta where it's like a food court slash. They got what's it called? I can't remember the name of it. Pond City Market, where you go and you just hang out, and they got like food. They got like clothes. They got bars and stuff. So I think that's the way this is going. Right? It's not so much you still gonna have a place where people shop and get together, but
Mhm.
it's not going to be like the traditional malls that we know, but you know, then they're going to have some places where you can take pictures and do your selfie, right? For the gram. So a mix of both, right? The digital and the live. I think that's kind of where everything's going for the future. So
All I'm
we'll
saying
see.
is I wanna live in a shopping mall that has an Amazon lock and a Netflix theater, which they've been talking about for the longest.
Hey, good point, man. Hey, that's the where it's going, man. So
Holy crap. I didn't even think about all these little connections we could start making where it's like, if you got your Whole Foods, Amazon owns the mall or something, they've got their distribution center, you just walk downstairs. You don't do, the Amazon Go thing where you don't even take out your phone or wallet or anything. You just walk
you just
through and
walk in and walk out.
walk out with the products, walk back up to your Amazon owned apartment, and then early in the morning you hear the Amazon trucks leaving. It's like, that's beautiful. I love it.
Welcome to the future, right?
I live in the digital
Dystopian,
blogosphere.
the dystopian, and then with your, Oculus while you're walking around in metaverse, right? With your
Yes.
NFTs. So yes, this is the future we are building, guys. It's gonna be interesting. Well, Mr. Benja, man, I think this is a good pod, man. Anything interesting popping up, coming up for you
Uh,
next week or so?
no, man, I just talked all the crap about Scott Adams and where he messed up on my podcast. So I got more of that coming up. Not Scott Adams, but more podcast ish talking. He gave me some ideas though, so I'm going to use them.
I love it, man. Yeah, keep doing it, man. Same here, man. Spring break for me, so I might hit the beach a little bit later this
Ah,
week with the kiddos. But man, just trying to get some more content out there. Trying to get these ebooks. Getting ready for Q1 is almost up here, so trying to take it to the next level with the business. But really enjoying, just trying to build a presence on the internet, just trying to see what's going to resonate with folks and building my own little audience over time. So it's kind of cool. You get little comments here and there. You say, okay, I'll
yeah,
respond. Gets you a follower now. So, I got some knowledge. I got some
nice,
knowledge I can share.
nice,
So we'll see how it goes over time, man. But enjoying it.
good,
Well,
good.
hey guys, thanks for listening. Look, if you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Want to check us out online? Go visit our website at Show versus Business. I'm Mr. Benja. Have a great one.
Peace.